The Ron Burgundy Podcast is a production of iHeartRadio Podcast Network and Funny or Die. A special thanks to all three of our sponsors, Fair, Coors Light, and NBC.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ron Burgundy. When I need a heartfelt Roman laugh, I turn to the network known for comedy, NBC. Put on your riot gear. It's a laugh riot over there. No, that won't work. People don't own riot gear. Not yet, at least. I mean, the way this country is going. Anyway, NBC's new Thursday night lineup begins this September. And don't forget, the internet's got just about every NBC comedy in history, so go forth and stream. Ha 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 ha! Who's that man talking in my ear? He's Ron Burgundy. Hello, this is Ron Burgundy. And you guessed it. Welcome to the Ron Burgundy Podcast. I am, of course, joined by Carolina. Carolina, how are you?
I'm good, actually. Thank you.
Great. You look very pretty today, I'm just going to say.
What? Really?
Yes.
You've literally never said anything complimentary about how I look.
I got 18 hours of sleep last night, so I feel very refreshed. Today's show is quite fascinating. We are going to be talking about the internet. And the internet, for those of you who don't know, was originally created by the U.S. military as a way for members of our armed forces to trade baking recipes with each other. Interesting. Since that first computer was connected to another computer by Alexander Graham Bell all the way back in 2004, the internet has no doubt revolutionized the way our world works today and changed our daily lives. I like to call the internet the information superhighway. That's a phrase I invented myself last night as I was preparing research for this podcast. I had to do all the research myself because Carolina didn't fax any notes to me like I asked her to.
There are so many things wrong with what you just said. There's so many factual errors. You know what? I did fax you the notes for today's show.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, maybe I was out of fax paper.
Ron, you really need to stop using that old fax machine that takes the curly paper that rolls up. The ink gets all over your fingers. I've offered numerous times to get you something more modern.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But that's the point. It's very broken.
Well, whatever the point is, I think we can all agree on one thing. The internet is here to stay. Right?
Sure, yeah, it will.
It's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's never been more dangerous. I don't like to contribute to the culture of fear, but the internet is truly terrifying. Right now, look at your children. They aren't safe. The elderly are at constant risk. And if you're going to use the internet, you must take extreme caution. And that's why I'm so glad to have our guest today. His name is Richard Greenberg, and he's what's referred to as a cybersecurity expert. So he knows all the ins and outs of the mercurial intranet. This is going to be fascinating.
It doesn't have to sound so spooky.
To crack open his skull and figure out what's swimming around in there.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, it'll be a basic interview.
Crack that thing open with a ball-peen hammer.
Whoa.
And pull out all the goop.
Come on.
No, but I mean metaphorically.
Sure.
Yeah.
It just sounds... Okay.
On the other side of this wall is Richard Greenberg.
He's waiting to just come in.
Cybersecurity expert.
Let's make it sound more warm and welcoming. Just a human, professional man.
He knows it all. We'll be right back with our cybersecurity expert right after this commercial break. NBC is the first name in comedy television. From its humble beginning in radio with such stars as Bob Hope and Bing Crosby to the present day with hit shows like The Good Place and Superstore, NBC is known throughout our proud land as the leader in comedy programming. Hello, I'm Ron Burgundy, famous news anchor and podcaster with this NBC Minute. Did you know that NBC invented comedy? It's true.
America was stuck in something called the Great Depression. But NBC executive Earl Tanner came along and decided Americans needed to laugh. In those days, people who laughed were considered insane and were thrown in what they called loony bins. But eventually a group of rebels called beatniks decided laughter was healthy, and overnight, NBC became the go-to place for comedy. It's no different today. Be sure to catch the new NBC comedy lineup airing Thursdays and streaming online, and you can thank Earl Tanner for that. I made that name up. Heck, I made all of this up. I'm Ron Burgundy.
And welcome back to the Ron Burgundy Podcast. This is Ron Burgundy. And we are joined right now by our cybersecurity expert, Richard Greenberg. Richard, thank you for joining us here on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Richard, can I call you Dick? Do you go by Dick Greenberg?
The last person that did that had an unfortunate accident.
Okay.
But you can
Fair
call
enough.
me whatever you want.
No, I'm going to call you Richard. I'm not going to mess around with that stuff. Let me just start off by saying, what is a cybersecurity expert for those listening?
Well, we all know that the hackers are looking to get all of our data everywhere.
Who are the hackers? Is that a musical group?
Well, there are good hackers and bad hackers. We call them white hat and black hat.
Whoa. Okay,
here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
So the white hat hackers are the
Right.
guys that look for vulnerabilities to try to help us identify where we're weak and what we could fix.
Oh.
The black hat hackers are the criminals.
Or the real ones who
They're-
they want to get the good stuff.
They're in Estonia and Russia and China and a variety of different places, and they're trying to get our data because it's monetized. Every piece of information, credit card, social security, medical records, has value on the dark market.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a cybersecurity expert. Do you carry a badge and a gun?
Nope, that would be a physical security expert.
Because it seems like you should have a badge and a gun with you at all times,
It's hard to shoot the internet. That's the problem.
because you're dealing with cyber criminals.
Exactly.
But you're not seeing them.
Yeah, they're kind of, we call them, they're in virtual space.
Have you ever by chance met one of these cyber criminals and remembered their handle and been like, wait a minute.
You're a soccer girl 23.
Yeah, you look familiar to me. Soccer Girl 23.
I haven't done that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're out there, though.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about passwords. I know those are
Sure.
important, right? And of course, I'm not talking about the old game show password.
Nobody thinks that.
I was actually up to host that show, but they went with a real lightweight instead. We don't need to get on that tangent. But I'm talking about the passwords you use for security purposes. Now, for myself, I just use the same password for everything in my life. Is that the right thing to do?
Absolutely not.
Oh.
And as a matter of fact, tell me what it is and let's discuss it.
Oh, I'm happy to. It is 80085, which, you know how I got that?
How?
Well, because if you type that into a calculator and you turn it upside down, it spells boobs.
Oh, okay. So,
Hilarious.
Okay.
Would you consider that a safe password? It's easy to remember.
right.
Yeah.
That's the good part.
Yes.
The bad part is that the black hat hackers
Right.
now share tools, and they have ways where they can run scripts in computers and try thousands, hundreds of thousands, if you will, password combinations, just random letters, and they would crack your password
In about 3 seconds.
No, it might take a minute. Depends.
Well, I'll take that. I'll take those chances.
Yeah,
You will?
So you're saying it's not a safe password?
not at all. And also, you really can't have the same password in all your accounts, because if one is broken,
It's
then
done.
everything.
It's curtains.
As they say, they have the keys to your city.
And I said it on the air here,
Yeah.
too.
No, there's no way that boobs could still work.
You know what? It's locked in. It's locked into the old noggin. So
Do you want to take a minute and go change it?
what would be some other good passwords?
Well, we don't want to say those either.
Boobies?
So one of the I can give you some advice
Please.
to help formulate one.
Yeah.
And this is,
Bloobs.
All right.
now what you could do better than a password.
Oh, chi-chis.
Those are just words.
Yeah. So Ron, better than a
They're words
password.
that mean certain things. Oh, bazoombas. Okay.
I'm sorry, Richard. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
that's okay. I'm
Sorry, Richard.
I see he's focused.
Got like 5 passwords ready to go.
Okay.
Yes.
Consider a passphrase.
Right.
So a combination of words such as Ron Burgundy is super duper.
That's pretty long.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
maybe
Okay,
something.
so Ron Burgundy is super duper.
You might remember that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I would remember that.
So that's a combination of letters that would be hard for a computer to crack because there's so many digits, so many characters.
And then add some numbers on top of it.
That would be good, but make sure you can remember those numbers.
So like Ron Burgundy is super duper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think I got my new password.
Okay, but don't tell anybody.
Okay, so don't use that one. That was just an hypothetical.
Yeah, exactly. Really don't use it.
But
Don't use it.
if I can't think of another good one, I'll probably use that one. Let me ask you about the dark web. What is the dark web?
It's the place where the black hat hackers operate.
That's where they live.
Yes, they're there. They're deadly, and they want your stuff.
And you can buy illegal narcotics and weapons on the dark web?
You can buy anything you want.
Really?
Yeah.
So, hypothetically, if I wanted to access the dark web and buy, let's say, this is purely a hypothetical situation, Quaaludes. Would you, Richard, be able to show me how to buy Quaaludes on the dark web?
A Quaalude's still for sale. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
The greenies?
Ludes?
Ludes. Greenies are amphetamines. Never mind.
Well, they might have replaced those with more effective drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. Man to man, we'll cut this out of the podcast. Richard, can you get me some Quaaludes, regardless of whether it's with the dark web or not?
No, that would kind of compromise my position.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty.
But I can understand the sentiment.
Because a lot of people in my stature would say, sure, Ron, I'll get you whatever you want. And
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry I can't help
Thank you for being a man of your word and integrity. So, okay, I'll just have to go somewhere else, hypothetically.
Okay.
So, I've heard all about the cyberbullying, right? And to my understanding, it's when you post something to the internet and that someone doesn't like, and that person will actually drive over to your house and punch you right in the face. How do we protect ourselves against cyberbullies?
Cyberbullies act out of immaturity or insecurity or a variety of other psychological things.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing in the real world. When I was a kid, I got beat up by a bully.
Right.
And I'm sure lots of people listening had the same experience. It's no different. It's only online. The problem with online, it's one, everybody can hear it and see it, and it's forever. You can't withdraw anything that's on the internet. So not just 2 or 3 people standing around see or hear it, but everyone on everyone's social network will see it.
You know what else is for forever?
What?
A diamond.
Is this an ad?
Diamonds are forever.
Let's move on.
K Jewelers.
All right.
Robots. Are they our friends or our enemies? I'll just put it out there.
So there's something called AI, artificial intelligence,
Yep.
that are built in, which makes robots and other types of,
Think for themselves.
more or less, they learn and they adapt, right? And so the future is unknown what these can do. But there's no use today really in cybersecurity, but I think down the road there will be.
So how do we keep a lid on this? How do we make sure that the robots, don't John Connor us?
It's a good question. That's more of a political question.
That's a reference to the movie Terminator.
Yes.
There were reports that Alexa's, the Amazon tool, were laughing at their owners and basically scoffing at them. Is that something to worry about?
I had a girlfriend named Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
She used to laugh at me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ron.
I would tell her my secrets and, what I wanted from the supermarket,
Sure.
and she would just laugh.
That's
Richard, did you ever know an Alexa in your
No,
childhood?
no, I haven't.
Oh.
I'm sorry for your...
that's
There's a story
sad,
there.
yeah. What were your secrets and your supermarket suggestions?
Well, I would just daydream around the house and say, I'd like 3 extra large T-shirts, a dozen bananas,
Yeah.
some new sheets.
Okay. Yeah. It was probably an interesting couple.
We were great dinner party guests.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what her password was?
What?
Boobies. On the weekends, Richard, I like to mess around with my CB equipment. Have one in my truck. And I just drive around for hours talking to my pals I've got the Muskrat, Howler, Danzoid, Groovin' Gary, all good buddies in my convoy. And if